showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Jacket podcast. Today, we're stepping into the show ring and into the heart of a young woman who's turning her passion for agriculture into her career. Addyson Shiveler joins us to share the story behind her beef production SAE, raising market steers and showing them at her county fair. Addison, tell us where you're from and how you got started in the livestock industry.
So I'm originally from LaBelle, Florida. We're about an hour south of Okeechobee. And I originally got into the market industry because I'm a fourth generation cattle rancher right here in Collier County area. And from a young age, I was always involved. We always worked cows. I have very fond memories of going with my grandpa. He's the one who originally got the land for us. And we were there for many, many years. Unfortunately, we are back where my great grandpa used to have land at. And we have it a lot smaller now just because of things that have happened over time. But that really instilled that in me. I'm also the youngest of four. And so all of my older siblings showed while growing up. And I knew when it was my time, I was going to show as well. So that is one of the biggest things is I had such amazing role models to show me how to show and what I was going to do when I grew up.
Oh, I love that story. It's so similar to mine. The family heritage and agriculture is so special. Let's dive into your SAE, Addie. What does your beef production projects look like from start to finish? Walk us through your whole process.
So this past year, I did beef production because it was my senior year. Usually I show swine, but for my last year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a steer, see what it's like. Because I knew how to do it. I did breeding heifer the year before. So it's not like I wasn't new to it, but I've never showed like an actual steer, gone through the whole process. So I got the steer from my cousin. They raise show cattle. They have really nice ones. And so I picked him out. I found him. I was like, okay, we got this. And from the beginning, I was very blessed with this. He was the sweetest thing ever. Like he was already semi-halter broke, even though he never had a halter on him. But he was the sweetest thing ever. I still love him. But so I got him and then we figured out the feed plan. I'm very much someone who likes to have everything organized. And so even you can ask like my family, whenever I did my pigs, I had my feed weighed out. I had it planned out for every single day of the week. And so I had to let go of that control with my steer because it's more, you can change it more often. And sometimes they don't eat it all because they're a lot pickier sometimes than pigs. And so I had to like realize that. I was like, okay, well, I can't plan it out for every day. So I have to figure it out. And so we went through many feed changes. Actually, this year was probably one of the hardest because my steer ended up getting really bad bloat that he actually had a rectal prolapse.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's hard. That's
that was
hard to
fun
come
to
back.
deal with. I immediately panicked because I'm like, okay, what is this? I was like, okay, maybe it's some sort of prolapse. And I looked it up and like they're telling me all these different things. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have looked this up because I'm over here thinking I have to like put him down or something. But we actually just use sugar and that's what yeah, I have no idea how that worked, but just sugar and it worked. But yeah, cause so he struggled with eating, but he would eat so much and then he would just bloat. And then even if he didn't eat all this food, it was really weird. We had to, I think switch feeds and add stuff to it just because of like there was a higher percentage of something that was making him react so bad. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but so that's what we had to do. And so from that moment on, he was good. And with working with him, he was amazing. Like I said, he was pretty much like halfway halter broke at our initial tag in and weigh in. He was he was amazing. I was able to walk him off the trailer. I was able to put him in the chute. He was like, I was so blessed because I was like, man, there's some people that had crazy cows, crazy steers this year, but I lucked out, especially for my first year ever doing it. So he was great. He was always very nice, but he ended up being like very big. Like, I mean, you could probably roll him down a hill. He was crazy. And then he ended up getting warts. So we had to deal with that as well. He was definitely a medical case to say the least. But it was in the end, it was very worth it. He ended up getting, I think he was around 12:30. I want to say that was his weight. And they did this year with some reason of the money, they did a ultrasound on their ribeye, and my steer actually received second in carcass for that. So that is something I'm very proud of because what we did the last last almost month was we would boil corn, or we would put corn in the crock pot, let it cook, and give it to him. And the lady that was doing ultrasound said she could see marbling on his ribeye. So I'm very proud of myself for that because that was a lot of hard work. So he received second in carcass. Unfortunately, I did not place very well in the actual class. That's also because I was in there with club calves, so it's kind of hard to judge. Um, but he ended up, I brought a lot as well, which is very much of a blessing. And I'm actually getting his hide done right now. So I'm very excited for all of that. So yes,
Oh, that's awesome.
yes.
God said, "Let there be light," and the lights turned on. Um, that's awesome, Addie. No, of course, with all those challenges you went through and things like that, it makes those little wins even sweeter going through the process. I know when I showed for years, I tried to set those personal goals because I mean, grand champion was kind of almost a goal out of reach from time to time. So maybe just a goal with that harder calf to stand still and walk in the ring
Oh
and make
yeah.
sure we set up right the first time, kind of things, and achieving those little goals were personal wins. Talk us through like your everyday routine with your steer. You talked about your struggles and kind of how it started. Like, talk about I got out of school and I went to the barn, then what happened kind of situation.
So this past year with my senior year, I had no classes at the high school. I was fully dual enrolled. So I only had to go to our college and take classes. And so I would wake up around 6:30, go take care of him in the morning. My parents always made sure we took care of our own animals in the morning. So I would feed him. I might have to do his water, usually just very simple because I'm not a morning person, so we made it as simple as we could be. And then after, usually around like 5 o'clock has always been like the feeding time for my family. Ever since I was young, 5 o'clock, it's time to feed up. It's just instilled in my brain. But usually I would go out a little earlier, especially after the time change. I'd go out like 4 o'clock. And what I would do, we got a grooming chute. And so I think from like the second or third week that I had him, I started putting him in there because I'm like, I'm not going to deal with him at show and he does not like this. So I immediately started to put him in there and have him train in that. And that I would brush him in there, I would wash him in there, and I got him very used to it. And I would also tie his head up because I also learned from my cousins who showed for many years that tying their head up is one of the best ways to get their head up whenever they're in the ring. And so they're automatically like, they know what to do because their head is up. So I was able to do that. So that's usually what I do. I'd put him in a chute first, and then while he's in the chute, in the grooming chute, I would go and clean his stall, clean it out, do any fresh water that I would, and then I would get my show stick and I would get my halter or my lead rope and I would lead him out and we would walk around. I usually try and went from like 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, um, just depending on the day, depending on what I had to do for the rest of the day. And that's what we do. We would walk around, usually in circles. I would try and do circles. I also practice setting up, especially like if we're going to walk in a circle, we do it a few times and then I have a stop, go in the middle and set up. But we also, where I had him at, we have other cows there. We have my sister's Brahmin. She's very crazy, or not crazy, she's just very sweet and she loves attention. And there was one time she actually almost got both of us. That was very scary. Like she did not like him at all. He never did anything to her, but we almost both got ran over by her. Like it was terrible. But
Oh my goodness.
but yeah, that's what we would do. I would just try and get him in the routine of understanding, trying to walk around and giving him that endurance. I learned that from showing pigs. You have to have that endurance in the animals, or else they will not last in the show pen. You won't do it well. If you can't show your animal off, then the judge won't know what the animal looks like, and that's the biggest thing. That's what I was always taught. Is you have to make sure you work them for long amounts of time so you can show your animal off. Show off what you did. And so that's what I would do. And then by the time I usually gave him a break, I also bribed him with cubes. So if he was having trouble walking, I almost all the time had cubes in my pockets or in my hand. I said, come on, we're getting this going. So it would always be interesting every single day. I also joke around and say that my right foot, there's like permanently damaged because I've gotten stepped on by so many cows. My heifer, she used to step on me so many times and he did. It's all the time my fault. Like I would just step in front of them and they would step at the same time. but like I honestly think there's something wrong because it never broke, never broke. Don't know how, never broke, but it just looks different than my other foot. It looks weird. Um, yeah.
You're so lucky because mine broke. Mine did break, unfortunately. I never realized, Addie, that you had multiple SAEs as far because when we had talked at state convention, and truthfully, like our friendship has kind of bloomed this year. So
Oh yeah.
I had no idea that you had swine production and different things. Talk a little bit about those. Give us some insight to other things you're doing in an SAE realm.
Yeah, so with the swine production, I did that for 7 years, 7 years. There was a couple years I wasn't able to show, but so my brothers and my sister all showed pigs just because they were a little bit easier. And at our old house, because we used to live in Naples, South Naples, we were really close to the Everglades actually, and we lived on the farm that my dad worked for, the company. They put housing on for the managers, and so that's where we lived at. And so they built a whole barn. We had even our own little pig barn for my brothers and sister. And so when it was time for me to show, I was like, yes. I remember my first pig, we got it from our family friends because they actually would breed pigs and they were a little bit younger than we needed, but I was still so excited. I, oh my goodness, I named them. The first one was a crazy name. I can't remember it, but it was a crazy name. I know it involved like pork, like different, I think it was like something sausage or rib, like it, ooh, that was crazy. Don't know why. Don't know why. And I love that. I don't know why, but it was like three names too. It was, I have no idea. But I would do that. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I don't like the smell, but now I'm like used to the swine smell. Nothing bothers me. Only thing that bothers me is chicken. Chickens are the only thing that bother me. Chicken smell. But with the pigs, we grew up in it. So whenever it's time, like I'm very organized. Like I said, I would plan out my feed. And especially when we moved, we built our pig barn. And the lady that I got my pigs from, they're a very close family friend. We grew up with them and everything when they would breed the pigs and raise them or breed them for show because they have their own show close nearby. I would always want to get mine from them, even though at our old shows in January, so I wasn't able to. So I definitely had a lot of fun, like going to different shows, figuring out which breeders I could trust and such. And that's what I loved about that was going to pick out for like the week or 2 weeks before, I'm like trying to plan out, okay, what am I looking for? What am I looking for in this pig? What is our price point? All those different things. And then my first year showing here in LaBelle was my freshman year, and we were in the middle of moving. Like we didn't even have the house yet. So my pig actually stayed at our family's friend's barn, and I'm so grateful for that because that was just a long year because we were in the middle of a move. Um, so that year was very difficult, but even though like I had to go over there and work with my pig and it was very, very long, but I still had so much fun. My junior year, I got my pig from a breeder up in Georgia, Southern Select, and I absolutely loved that pig. Honestly, that was probably one of my favorites, even though again, another medical case because these last 2 years just I can't have a break. But just I think it was the aspect of figuring out feeding and doing the weights because we had our own scales. So with that, I love planning things out. And when we had access to it, I was able to plan things out. And I absolutely loved that. Loved that so much. And I think that's kind of what helped fuel me was just being able to control everything that I could. So
Oh my goodness. No, Addie, like I love that it's diversified, that you've kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything. And I love that it was a family affair because I know when I showed, like, my dad would come to the barn and he
mhm,
really loved the feeding aspect. So,
yeah.
of course, we'd sit down at the dinner table and talk about what ration we're feeding, what percentage of fiber or protein, or
Mhm,
especially when it came to like cooking corn for the steers and like finishing them out. That was something that was really big in my family. It became an entire family affair because always mom would be like, "Why are you using my crock pot at the barn?" And my dad's like, "We gotta finish the steer out." And you know my parents well enough to know that's absolutely true. Um, and I showed pigs when I was a little girl. My first pig's name was Moonshine. It was all black with little white feet. And so diabolical names for an 8-year-old, if you ask me. But so many favorite memories showing and in the barn, whether that's at county fair or at home. What's one of your favorite show ring memories or maybe at the barn at home?
Probably just like how my family can all come out and support me. Like there's been multiple times at our old house when my oldest brother, he has 4 kids. And I remember one time where he brought them out, or I think it was like only 2 of them at the time. And he brought them out and he had them watch us and everything. I think that's one of my biggest things is whenever we can get the whole family involved and celebrate it and just, I feel like we're able to be more because there's a really big age gap in my family with me and my oldest brother. So I definitely love that because I felt like I was closer to them and I could get like something. I love pouring into my nephews as well. That's one of my favorite things to do. And so just being able to like show them what I've done and tell them what I've done and help them out, I've absolutely enjoyed that.
Oh, I love that. No, family's such a big thing in my life, and I know it is for you too. And like when I met your mom, I was like, oh, I just love her and she's so sweet. And you both have the most infectious personalities ever. I know with like where I live, Addie, it's a little different than where you live, even though we're both from Florida. How are you marketing your pork or your beef? Because you show them at the county fair. Where I live, you sell them additionally at the county fair, and it's a big thing about making sure we're marketing that beef or pork to the highest quality for our
Mhm.
buyers. Walk me through that process of how you sell your animals at the fair.
So yes, our both fairs that I showed at, we would sell at the fair as well, and it was a very big ordeal with my mom, doing buyer's letters, writing buyer's letters every time. I think it was around December at my old show. By December, you better have these out. Like my mom was very strict on us doing it, and I did. I was like, once I got like older enough, I was like, I'm gonna be smart with this. I would like write 20 and then copy the rest if I found any more. But I love doing buyer's letters just because I was able to figure out who all I could get. I love making a list. And then when I came here to LaBelle and started to show, I was able to get more businesses, and I absolutely loved that. And I think it was one year my mom had us bring like goodie baskets with us to go hand deliver letters. That was very funny. Like the last 4 years, I've done like little goodie baskets. This past year, I brought a bag of candy with me, and one of the people I brought it with, they said, "You trying to bribe us?" I said, "No, not at all." But I think that's one thing I love doing the hand delivered letters of the buyer's letters is because I feel like I can get more of a connection. They know who I am. I know who they are, especially when you're in that sale night. They'll come through the barn and go look at the animals. So they know exactly who I am. And I love that aspect. So especially in our community, they come together a lot. There's a lot of animals that have to be sold every year, but our community comes together so well and they show out so well. So I definitely can applaud LaBelle because they are amazing at doing that. But buyer's letters is always a big deal. I remember, especially this past year, my mom just getting on to me, be like, "Get your buyer's letters done. That's the only way you're gonna get money." Like, damn. But yeah, buyer's letters have always been a big thing in my family. So just doing that, that's the biggest way I've helped promote my animals.
Yeah, the community connection part of the delivering buyer's letters and writing buyer's letters process was always something I enjoyed. Of course, like as a little girl, you walk in the room and Mr. Joe Smith standing there and he owns the tractor dealership or
Mhm.
whatever. And you go and you're like, hi, I'm Paige. It's nice to meet you. But as you get older, you can really market your product and tell them
Mhm.
the time that you've put in and really talk about what you're feeding that animal to ensure that high quality beef or pork or to any instance like that. And I think it provides skills even more so past raising livestock for
Oh
your
yeah.
SAE or for that project specifically. What are some of those life lessons that showing livestock has taught you that don't necessarily pertain to the industry at all?
I think one is definitely perseverance. Like I stated with my junior year pig, it was a whole she ended up getting very sick and definitely perseverance has got me through that year because I was ready to be done. I think it was December and I showed in February. So I was by January and she still had this. I was so done. I was like, how am I going to get through this? Because she wasn't gaining weight. Like, oh, it was terrible. But definitely one of the life skills that have definitely shown through is perseverance. Is seeing myself go through and continue with it. Because there's definitely been a few times where I've been like, okay, I give up. I'm not doing this anymore. This is way too much. But I still persevere. And I think that's one thing I can applaud myself on is making sure I go through with stuff. That's also the way I was raised. I've always taught, you have to go through with something. If you're starting something, you better finish it. So I think that's one thing as well is having that instilled, and then having when you have animals come through. I think it was my 6th grade year, I had a pig, and from the breeder, she was actually already sick. She had some sort of lung disease, and she wasn't able to breathe. So yeah, it was terrible. So I wasn't even able to show her. Like, she died. Like, I wasn't able to weigh her in. She wouldn't eat. She died like the night after the show. So I wasn't going to show her anyway. But that like definitely struck me. I'm like, well, sometimes there's loss and sometimes you have great times. And so that definitely, I've gotten a lot of life lessons. I remember talking about it in my state degree, was each one of my years that I did at screening, I talked about everything that I went through and how different things came together and all the different life skills I've learned from it. And definitely perseverance and just realizing that everything's going to be okay, even if it doesn't look like it. So that's one of my biggest books. That's what I can take from it.
Absolutely. Taking that through life, like right now at college classes, that perseverance to keep going. I mean, there's friends here and they want to go to the Springs for the weekend or want you
Mm-hmm.
to come over for dinner. And those 100 math problems really make you persevere in that moment. Talking from experience, maybe, maybe not. Um, that being said, Addie, I have loved talking about all your SAEs, but what else do you do? I obviously FFA. What else are you involved in? What keeps you busy?
Mainly at my church. I am very heavily involved with our children's ministry. I am currently teaching Sunday school. I absolutely love working with those kids. I also do once a month the children's ministry. So I go in and teach during sanctuary time while their parents are in there getting fed. I help feed them and I absolutely enjoy it. This past year, also, our church had a homeschool co-op and I got to teach a group of them about agriculture. And that, I probably loved that so much. That is one of my favorite things from this past year, was being able to teach them. So I'm very heavily involved in my church and I'm so glad, because that's the reason I feel like I'm so strong in my faith, is I have such an amazing community behind me, such an amazing church community behind me. So that's definitely one thing, is being involved in church. Also getting ready for college. I already have my associate's degree. So I'll be going in technically right now as a sophomore. I have to petition for a few of my credits. Don't ask me why. We love Georgia. Um, but getting ready for college, my mom and dad are actually moving my sister out to Oklahoma right now for vet school. And so definitely the whole thing of transitioning from everyone being here, I'm the youngest, and now no one's going to be here. Like, it's crazy. Now no one's going to be here. My sister's gone. I'll be up in Georgia. So that's the whole thing, is also transitioning to a brand new chapter right now, is understanding and trying to figure out everything that's going to happen over this next year.
Absolutely. I know that feeling too, the feeling of not knowing and um don't let it eat you up.
Oh yeah.
Enjoy every moment, live in that moment, and value the time that you're spending with the people here because eventually you will be in Georgia. And then it's time to
Hmm.
value those people and those connections in those places. And after just recently moving, it's the best. You're scared to death, but it
Oh
truly
yeah.
is so fun and so exhilarating. And I know that ABAC's going to be so happy to have you. So talk to us about your future steps, Addie. What is college going to be like for you? What are you majoring? What are your goals? Talk a little bit about that. Tell our listeners who you are.
So I'm going to be majoring, or actually I'm dual degreeing, technically how they say it, in ag education and ag communication. So my end goal is to be a high school ag teacher. Back in middle school, I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I don't know why. It just hit me. Like, I'm going to be a teacher, but I didn't know exactly what I would teach. I was like, I maybe want to teach middle or high school. I can't deal with the younger grades. I can, but at some point my patience runs out and there's not enough for them. And then as I got into high school, I never had any agriculture classes. Even though I was involved in it, I never had any agriculture classes growing up. And so when I got my first one in high school, I was like, what is this? I didn't know this was a thing. Like, I was so excited. And immediately getting involved in it, especially like the first 2 years, I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be an ag teacher, high school ag teacher. Because one, I get to help out with FFA. And you know me, Paige, I love doing all of that. So I am going to be going into that. I'll have about 2.5, 3 years at ABAC, since I'm also dual degreeing. And then I actually already have my student teacher set up, which I'm very excited for. He was a judge at the Glades County show that I helped at, And I talked to him, and he's in Kathleen, Georgia, and he's like, yeah, come and student teach. I said, okay, awesome. So yes, that's going to be in a process, and I can't wait for that. I also am going to be trying to do a mission trip to Romania, hopefully in the near future. I
So
have
cool,
some.
Addie.
Oh yeah, there's a big organization, Reach for Romania, and we have a family friend that he has a 100-acre farm out there where he helps teach his kids. So I'm definitely gonna try and see in the works of try and do that, because at the moment I'd be graduating and I'd be like 20, almost 21, teaching high schoolers. So I was like, yeah, I would much rather be like 21, 22 teaching high schoolers, give myself a little bit of more of an age gap. So I'm praying for that at the moment. Just I really would love to do at least one mission trip out of state or out of country, especially. So I'm definitely in the prayers for that. But just like these whole next 5 years, have my plans have changed just in the past 6 months of what I thought I was going to be doing in 5 years compared to then. A lot has changed. A lot of different things have happened. So I'm definitely resting in knowing, not knowing the unknown. That is for sure. I am, especially this next year, I'm going to try and go in with an open mind, positive mind, try, and just see what God does, because I'm very excited about going to ABAC. I cannot wait. I know the amount of connections I'm going to get. So that is the main thing. Is I thought I had it all planned out 3 months ago around, and now I don't, and I'm starting to get okay with that. So yeah, that's so yeah, I can't wait. I'm very passionate about talking about agriculture, and I think that's the main reason I want to be an ag teacher, is teaching the next generation. And that was my whole thing when I did the homeschool co-op. I joked around and said they were my guinea pigs. But I was like, I even told them at our end of year, I was like, y'all have helped me like to develop more of a passion to teach the next generation, because a lot of them did not know. And just seeing them learn everything was so amazing. And I got told by multiple parents, they're like, your class was their favorite. I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, I did not think I did that well, but
Oh,
they said I did. So I was very happy for that. And yeah, I don't think this passion will ever run out. It is something I'm very big in and very hungry to teach more people about. And I think that's the main reason.
I love how your faith has like FFA and showing as a little kid has obviously like allowed you to be a voice for agriculture and learn that
Hmm.
process with a family in it as well. And then your faith has propelled you forward to like
Oh
use
yeah.
your mission and your calling to be a voice for agriculture as well as the gospel. And I think that's so special and so unique. And of course, I just love you and I love your personality. So it makes it better for me, and we've been friends for a while, but
Hmm.
I love that FFA members like can see through your works, Addie, that you don't have to
Hmm.
be restricted to one SAE or maybe to one path, that you can kind of combine your interests together, like with you, ministry and agriculture go hand in hand. And I think that is
Yeah.
so incredibly awesome. As we kind of get towards the end of our episode, can you tell our listeners, or maybe for a first year FFA member that might be listening or a younger kid, a piece of advice that you think would help them in their FFA journey or truthfully just in everyday life?
Don't get yourself so much involved. I almost found myself on the ends of burnout this past year. You don't have to do everything. It is so important to realize that. And it finally took me like, I think, second semester of senior year. Like, I don't have to do everything. It's okay not to do everything. And resting and realizing that there's other people to do stuff is the biggest thing, especially when you go in as like a new member. You want to do everything. You see this competition, you see this essay. Oh, I want to get involved in everything. Don't enjoy your time as a kid, because I miss it. Honestly, I wish I spent more time like missing it, because that's what so many people told me. It was like, you're gonna miss being a kid, like rest. And I'm like, no, I gotta go, go, go. I should have listened. I can humbly say I should have listened to all those people that told me that. But just realizing there's a lot for you to do, and you can take your time in doing that. One year you can do so many competitions. Next year, maybe take a break. Maybe focus more on your SAE. And just, I feel like that's the biggest thing, is don't overwhelm yourself with so many things, because in the end, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to be enjoying any of it. And that's what you see a lot with a lot of students is they get so involved and they're just not enjoying it anymore. And I think that kind of, I was getting on that point towards the end of the year. Like I was just getting tired and I was just, because I was doing it, I felt like I was doing everything. And so it's also important to let people help, let people give their ideas as well. And that's so important to realize, and just having those realizations as a new FFA member or an existing FFA member that's trying to figure out what all you're doing. Take a break. It's okay. You can calm down. It's still gonna be there whenever you come back. And just rest in the moment. Enjoy the moment, as you said. Enjoy the moment. Have fun in the moment. Make those memories because it'll be gone before you know it. And realize that it's okay to maybe not do everything, and that's all right. So that's honestly my biggest thing is don't overwhelm yourself because you're gonna get burnt out and it's not fun. So just rest and not being involved in everything. That is my biggest thing. Is
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, I think you're preaching to me too. And I think, in all honesty, I think you're preaching to every FFA or really any go-getter kid at that point because you
Mhm.
set those pinnacle goals for yourself and you're like, in order to get to that point in life and that goal that you want to accomplish, you have to do absolutely everything at its utmost, like at the pinnacle of it, and you have to keep
Mhm.
going and you have to be
Yeah.
successful. And that's even something I struggled with was like I have to do everything and everybody
Oh
has
yeah.
to see that I'm a winner at it and I have to be
Mhm.
great. And obviously that's competitive nature as well as like I want to be the best at everything. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But no, I think to rest in that moment is
Mhm.
great advice, Addie. I think it's something that even I needed to hear. And I think that's something I've been hearing a lot because the preacher's sermon on Sunday was about that too. So maybe I'm being preached to in multiple ways. But no, thank you for coming on Beyond the Jacket and telling us your journey with your swine production and beef production and how you're using your love for agriculture and ministry to teach the good word about agriculture and to shine a light that you can have multiple interests and join those passions together. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed going Beyond the Jacket with you today.